Welcome to this explainer. We're diving into a deceptively simple invention from patent US 916-847 that solves a really frustrating problem you might actually be causing right this very second. We've all been there, right? Chasing those elusive full bars of cell signal, completely frustrated by a rapidly dying battery. Well, what if the culprit isn't your cellular provider or even a degrading battery, but literally just the way you're holding your device? Today, we're unpacking an ingenious piece of tech that passively shapes human behavior to fix an entirely invisible issue. So, take a quick second. Look at how you're holding your device right now. Go ahead, I'll wait. Are your fingers kind of wrapped around the bottom edge? Is the palm of your hand resting snugly against the lower half of your phone? We're going to explore how that incredibly simple, totally natural grip might actually be your invisible enemy. You see, modern smartphones are absolute marvels of engineering, but they still have to obey the laws of physics. And as it turns out, human tissue happens to be an exceptionally good absorber of electromagnetic energy.
The patent hits the nail on the head of these highly relatable pain points. It explains that when human tissue rests right near a device's antenna, it sets off this whole cascade of negative effects. First off, you get decreased signal strength. We're talking dropped calls, painfully slow internet, the works. But actually, it gets worse. Because your phone is smart, when it detects that weak signal, it starts working overtime, pumping more power to the antenna to overcompensate. And that leads directly to consequence number 2, a drastically faster battery drain. Finally, and this is a big one, because the device is pushing so hard to blast that signal right through your hand, it inherently increases your localized radiation exposure. All of this just because of a misplaced finger.
Section 1. Your hand kills the signal. So we know the results are bad, but let's figure out what's actually happening on a microscopic level. It all comes down to this absolutely crucial concept called detuning. When an antenna is first designed, it is tuned to operate at a highly specific frequency. But when you suddenly introduce a large mass of water and minerals, which, let's face it, is essentially what your hand is, right next to that antenna, your body just absorbs the energy that was meant for the cell tower. It violently shifts the antenna's resonant frequencies either up or down the spectrum, which severely degrades its overall efficiency.
The patent illustrates this perfectly by contrasting our habits. Most of us naturally cup the phone, completely smothering the antenna area, which is usually sitting right at the bottom of the device. I mean, we do it for stability. It feels comfortable. But functionally speaking, we should all be gripping it delicately by the edges with our fingertips, keeping our palms completely away from the antenna. But let's be real here. Almost nobody naturally holds their phone that way in the real world.
And the inventors didn't just rely on theoretical physics here. They brought receipts. They set up a rigorous lab experiment using a highly sensitive piece of equipment called a network analyzer. With this setup, they could track exactly what happens the moment a hand moves over the antenna area. They strictly controlled the location, the specific phone model, the test subject, and they repeated the measurements to isolate exactly how much sheer damage a human hand is actively doing to a wireless signal. To put this into perspective, the raw data from those tests is just fascinating. When the hand was spaced just 3 centimeters away from the antenna, the center frequency set nicely at 850 megahertz, which is a standard cellular frequency, with a minor power loss of 2.78%. But simply sliding the hand directly over the antenna completely detuned the device. It crashed all the way down to 721.81 megahertz and actively spiked the signal power loss. The data is undeniable. Your hand is literally killing your signal.
Section 2. A simple physical solution. This brings us to a really fascinating design challenge. How do we actually fix this if humans naturally want to hold their phones the wrong way?
Enter the grip guide. This is just a brilliant piece of behavioral engineering. The inventors realized you can't just hand everyone a user manual and expect them to permanently change their muscle memory. They needed a physical intervention. By creating a case that uses firm physical protrusions, think of them like bumpers. They could subconsciously train your hand to stay in a designated safe zone. The user's hand naturally nests perfectly between the upper and lower bumpers. You don't have to think about detuning or megahertz at all. The physical shape of the object simply dictates the correct, safe behavior.
Think about the stark contrast here compared to the standard, flat case designs we're also used to. Flat cases practically invite your hand to easily slide down and smother that lower antenna zone. But this new housing physically blocks that bad habit. Your hand simply will not rest comfortably over those thick protrusions. So, without even consciously realizing you're doing it, you naturally slide your grip up to the center of the phone.
Section 3. Engineering the perfect grip. Let's break down the actual material science and the exact dimensions required to pull off this behavioral magic trick.
The patent outlines a highly specific 3-step logic for building this. Step 1 is absolutely critical. You have to ensure the case material itself doesn't cause its own detuning. So they specify using a low dielectric constant and low loss tangent material. In plain English, materials that let radio waves pass right through them like glass. Step 2 is adding those firm protrusions squarely over the antenna areas. And Step 3 is designing the central region to naturally cradle and guide the hand into that safe zone. Oh, and the bumpers themselves must be rigid enough that they won't just compress when you squeeze them.
We also have to factor in modern smartphone anatomy, because today's devices pack different antennas at completely opposite ends. You usually have your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi up at the top and cellular down at the bottom. The housing is strategically engineered to guard both ends simultaneously. That is exactly why the design features these prominent bumpers on all 4 corners of the device.
But exactly how big do these bumpers actually need to be to successfully manipulate human behavior? Well, the inventors locked onto a very specific measurement, 15 millimeters high. This is not an arbitrary number. 15 millimeters creates a housing width that is, crucially, just slightly too large for the average human hand to wrap around comfortably. By making it physically awkward and kind of annoying to hold the ends of the phone, your brain naturally migrates your grip to the thinner, much safer center.
Section 4. Adapting to other devices. What's truly fascinating is that this isn't just a blueprint for a single phone case. It's a scalable design philosophy for our entire wireless world.
Just look at how seamlessly this adapts. For larger devices, like tablets, which often utilize multiple smart antennas located in all 4 corners to track and locate signal beams, the design just scales right up. It creates 4 distinct, safe gripping regions along the edges. It doesn't even matter if you hold the tablet in portrait or landscape mode. The physical design forces your hands away from those critical transmitting corners no matter what.
And hey, they even thought about the minimalists out there. For users who absolutely refuse to use a case, the patent covers simple standalone adhesive foam and rubber tabs. You can literally just stick these right onto the back of your naked phone or tablet. You get the exact same behavioral correction, your fingers hit the foam tab, and you subconsciously adjust your grip without needing to wrap your sleek device in a bulky case.
It really is a brilliant example of passive design fixing an active problem. By making the wrong way just slightly uncomfortable, the user effortlessly adopts the right way. You're saving your signal, saving your battery, and reducing your radiation exposure all at once, without a second thought. And it leaves you wondering, what other technology frustrations in our daily lives could be instantly cured by just a little clever, physical, behavioral engineering? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I bet you'll never hold your phone the same way again.